about Rory McIlroy's victory, saying that his was the story of perseverance, of foolish hope, and of what happens when you cling to a dream hard enough to force it into reality. I just thought those were
great.
magic words, and it's a good example not just for golf, but for life and politics. I want to express condolences to the family of television journalist John Sherrick, who regularly covered the Capitol for 43 years before retiring last year. He had an amazing voice, he was a true professional, and he was an absolute gentleman, deeply respected by everybody who worked with or beside him. And then congratulations to Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock on the publication of his second children's book, which debuted on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert Thursday evening and Metro Atlanta appearances over the weekend. It's a modern-day retelling of the biblical story of Jesus feeding the masses, and it's a perfect weekend for him to debut this book.
On Easter, yes. Phil.
Well, when we are speaking of Christianity's holiest day, happy Easter to the viewers, and I think it is great for billions of Christians around the world, and I hope they flock to the churches. Yes, the Masters and Rory McIlroy are winners. And also, my winner is a CPA firm in Clayton County, Fulton and Kozak. The Jonesboro city government is screwed up. The mayor has really messed up the records. They can't hold their finance person. They can't hold a city manager. The CPA firm says, we're done. We're quitting. We're not going to even attempt to do the records of the city of Jonesboro. It's a disgrace when you see a public government like that.
All right, Alicia.
So I want to start with my losers. Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education, who this week kept confusing artificial intelligence with A1 steak sauce. She kept referring to AI as A1. I need our Secretary of Education to know the difference between the two. My winners this week, Sandra Williams. Happy birthday. She's a president of the North Georgia Labor Council, so thank you for standing up for working families. And guess what, y'all? Remember those days of me in the Capitol with a big belly?
Yes.
That little girl turned 18
Oh my
week.
gosh.
So happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, Layla. And then my winners are all of the people who participated in the Target Fast over the last 40 days. It wasn't just a symbolic effort. We really made a difference. Target stock, the hit a 5-year low, opening at $94 on April 14th. And every state in this country, with the exception of West Virginia, saw a decline in foot traffic in all of their Target stores. So it's the power of money, the power of community, and understanding that diversity, equity, and inclusion are very important.
All right, Brian.
Well, I guess I need to go and shop at Target. And I don't know what you got against A1 steak sauce. Steak sauce
I
is
just
there.
want her to know
Steak
the
sauce
difference between the two.
It's
There's
very
no
important.
debating in winners and losers.
So my winners are, again, Rory McIlroy as well. I was there on 15 on Sunday when he hit that shot that could have been the eagle. It ended up being a birdie and was decisive towards the end of the day. It was just a beautiful day. Georgia put on a fantastic show for the world. Anybody who was there, it was just a magical experience for those of us who were there. And then today, my fellow Christians, happy Easter. He is risen. It is something to celebrate, and it's something that I hope everybody on this panel, despite all our differences, can come together and be thankful for what this day means to all of us.
Great. And I just want to mention John Sherrick as well. I worked with him covering the Capitol for many, many years, and just a consummate professional, just such a gentleman all the time. And, you know, reporters can have egos and get in each other's way, but never John. He was just a voice of reason all the time, and we're going to miss him. So thank you all. Happy Easter, and a happy birthday to my husband. Bye-bye.
Well, welcome into News Now. I'm Ariel Onstadt, and it's a pleasure to have you with us on our Sunday morning. We've got some events to cover and things to get to for your Sunday. The first thing being, item of news interest being that the police in Snellville, or Gwinnett County rather, are investigating a homicide. And we want to get right out to our Lindsay Tuman, who has been looking into this. And Lindsay, police are looking at this. We know that the man was shot and left to die in the neighborhood.
Yeah, Ariel, there are a lot of questions still surrounding this case. This did happen on a street in Snellville, but the man's family tells us that he's actually from Loganville. So one of their biggest questions is why this man was there. So Gwinnett County investigators got the initial call about that shooting at around 5 o'clock Saturday evening. When they responded to that area off of Bryant Drive, they found a man next to a car at the dead end of that street. He had been killed with gunshot wounds. His family identified him to Fox 5 as Brian Smith, 22 years old. And again, they say that he lives in Loganville. They don't know why he would have been in that area. And this is something that investigators are also looking into at this time. Neighbors, though, tell us this area is very quiet. They were surprised to hear gunfire so close to their homes.
I heard the gunshots from the back. This is where I was doing some gardening. So I heard the gunshots. And then I went inside just to look out to see if I see anything. I didn't see nothing. I went back to what I was doing. Then I came back out here, and this place was filled with police cars.
And at this time, Gwinnett County investigators still looking into a number of details about this case. They haven't released any details about a potential suspect or a suspect description or any indication of what might have led up to that shooting. Of course, those are questions we are asking investigators. As soon as we get those answers, we'll keep you updated as well. And investigators are asking the public, if anyone has any information about this case, to please get in contact with law enforcement. You can also contact Crime Stoppers to pass those details along. That's the latest out here in Gwinnett County. Ariel, back to you.
Us up to date. We'll check back in with you in a little bit. Well, if you're headed out today and you're looking for things to do on this Easter Sunday, there are quite a few festivals happening in the metro today. One of them being the Arts-A-Palooza Festival in Sandy Springs. We sent our very own Eli Jordan out to check it out for us. And Eli, I know it's early yet, so I'm not sure if very many people are out just yet. What are you seeing? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Ariel. Yes, a little bit early out here at Arts-A-Palooza in Sandy Springs. Everything kicks off at 11. Goes from on from 11 till 5. But yes, it's a lot going on today. It's Arts-A-Palooza. It's Easter. It's 420. And here I have the Easter Bunny. And I also have Randall Fox, who is the head honcho here at the Arts-A-Palooza in Sandy Springs. Hey, Randall, how's it going?
Good morning. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you, too. And so, Randall, tell me what all's going on today.
This is the 16th annual Sandy Springs Arts-A-Palooza. This is our annual Easter Arts Festival. At 2 o'clock today, we'll have an Easter egg drop. But today, we've got about 150 artists locally and across the region. We'll have food trucks. We'll have a full day of family entertainment.
How long have you guys been doing Arts-A-Palooza here in Sandy Springs?
We've been doing this for 16 years now, every Sunday, every Easter Sunday.
And tell me again, how many artists you have, what kind of art, and do you have any like foods or entertainment going on?
Yes, sir. We've got about 150 artists, painters, clay, jewelry. We've got food trucks. We've got kid entertainment. We've got a full day packed of activities.
And at 2 p.m. you say you have?
The Easter egg drop. We'll have over 10,000 Easter eggs, and with that we'll have 30 eggs with over $200 in cash hidden inside.
$200 in cash hidden inside 30 eggs. You could almost buy maybe a couple dozen eggs with that.
Easily a couple dozen eggs, but we got you covered for this Easter weekend.
Awesome, awesome. And so 2 p.m., 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., correct?
11 to 5, egg drop at 2 o'clock sharp.
Awesome, awesome. So Ariel, if you want to come on out here after the show, you can come out here and check out some art like Sergey's art here. It's really nice mixed media of oils and acrylics, and some of them, this guy right here has got some really cool art. You put on a set of some 3D glasses, and his art will jump right out at you.
Yeah, the special glasses actually.
Oh yeah, it's really good stuff here. Yeah. And so I mean, it won't come through on the camera because you got to have ocular vision for that. And there's some other things over here. Check out this. We got an elephant. And looks like we might have a cross to bear too on this Easter Sunday. But there's all sorts of stuff here. We got some ceramics over here. I think these are ceramics. And but I like these. It's like some Day of the Dead stuff over here. And uh-oh, I think I see a lion here possibly. We got a cat. If you take me to art, I will find some cat pieces. And but no, there's all sorts of stuff out here in Sandy Springs at Arts-A-Palooza. Here on this Easter, after your Easter Sunday services, maybe come down here, patronize some of these booths, take you a piece of art to go home, and enjoy yourself. But right now, artists are just now getting their booths ready for the final day of Arts-A-Palooza. Everything opens up at 11, and then at 2 p.m. you got the egg drop, or the egg hunt, and you might be able to find some cash in some of those eggs. They got $200 hidden in 30 eggs. Well, $200 maybe total, not $200 in 30 eggs, but there's some money in them eggs out there. But yeah, come on down here to Sandy Springs, Arts-A-Palooza, and grab you some art. Ariel?
Yeah, Eli, I'm thinking about how maybe after I'm done here, I'm going to have to go Easter egg hunting because cash always sounds like a good idea to me.
Cash is always good. Cash is king. Oh, yeah, you know it.
Okay, and just to wrap it up before I let you go, Eli, I'm reading from the website really quickly and letting the people who are streaming along with us know there's a children's play area, local musicians, interactive art stations, and up to 125 arts and crafts vendors. So this is really cool. You were giving us
Absolutely,
that sneak peek, and we'll see you again in just a little bit, Eli. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you're having a beautiful Sunday so far. We have some other news to get to. Before I send you over to weather and let you know what to expect there, I want to give you an update on some stories we've been tracking. One of them being an update on 2 officers who were shot Friday morning. Now, we know when we look at this situation that one of the officers is still in ICU in critical condition in the Grady Memorial Hospital. He works for the South Fulton Police Department. His name is Lieutenant Charles Cook. Then Fulton County Officer Zahir Mueed was released Friday from the hospital. He suffered minor injuries. Friday morning, both officers were shot in a shootout with a man named Rashawn Cofield. Police say he opened fire after police stopped him for jaywalking. Officer Mueed had pulled over to assist Lieutenant Cook. After Lieutenant Cook had been shot 3 times, Mueed took off after the suspect, exchanged gunfire with Cofield, ultimately killing him. Officer Mueed then returned to the initial shooting scene and applied a tourniquet to Lieutenant Cook's wounds, which may have helped save his life. And you've seen photos of both officers on your screen there. But the South Fulton officer who is in critical condition right now is not the only tragedy to strike the city of South Fulton's police department. We know that tomorrow flags across the state are going to fly at half-staff to honor South Fulton police officer Lieutenant Helio Armando Garcia. He was killed in a deadly crash last week, and investigators say the 31-year-old Centuria McLean crossed a double white line on Flat Shoals Road, hitting his vehicle head-on. His funeral service is happening Monday, that's tomorrow, and it'll happen at about 1 p.m. at World Changers Church in South Fulton. A viewing will be held before the service between 10 and noon, so we'll, of course, continue to keep you updated and let you know what to expect as people mourn this officer who gave his life in the line of service. Also happening tomorrow, something that you should be aware of, Hartsfield-Jackson leaders at the airport are going to take a look at prices to parking. So this is a big update because they're going to be discussing parking rate adjustments. New rates are going to start May 1st, weeks ahead of the start of the busy travel season. Details on whether these price rates for parking are going to go up or down have not been shared in advance. We're told this is the first time rates have been adjusted in 8 years, so definitely a big deal. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn any new details on this. This is happening tomorrow. But for now, we do want to get over to our Alex Forbes, who is standing by to give us an outlook on today's weather forecast. Alex, I have to say, lately, No complaints about the weather from me.
And not many complaints this morning as well. 66 is where we stand right now for all the Easter egg hunts going on across metro Atlanta with a mix of clouds across the area. Pretty nice morning. It's abnormally warm for this time of year. 65 in Canton, 64 in Gainesville right now. You see that cloud cover very much in place. 60 in Clayton, 62 in Blue Ridge. We are now on the uphill swing now that the sun has risen. And as we take a look off to the west, some severe weather this morning in parts of Missouri, over into Arkansas. I saw a tornado warning there in the past 30 minutes. That rain you see out to the west is going to be working its way towards North Georgia by the time we get to tomorrow. Now, here's what we've got going on hour by hour. Temperatures in the 70s here for the next little bit before we make it into the 80s later this afternoon. I do expect to hit a high temperature of 84, which will be about 2 degrees cooler than we got yesterday, and that is going to make for a nice afternoon for the Braves and Twins. First pitch in a couple hours here at 7:20 over at Truist Park as temperatures find their way into the mid 80s. So there's that cloud cover through the day today. A couple more peaks of sunshine later this afternoon, and then as we look ahead to the evening and into tomorrow morning, cooling down once again. By the time we get to tomorrow afternoon and evening, some isolated storms in northwest Georgia. Those are going to filter into the north side of the metro through early Tuesday and then into Tuesday afternoon. I think we have a decent chance of rain primarily north of Interstate 20, and even then could mix in a couple of storms across parts of North Georgia for Tuesday afternoon. But as for your Easter, look for temperatures in the mid 80s, low to mid 80s this afternoon. 82 in Blairsville and in Gainesville, 84 in Athens and here in the city. I don't expect to see many spots above that 84 mark. I think if anything, maybe northwest Georgia if you're able to mix in a little more sun. And then through the overnight tonight, cloudy still, 62 our overnight low temperature, which is still above the average of 53. Here's your Fox 5 Storm Team 7-day forecast. A 30% chance of rain tomorrow late in the day, northwest Georgia, and then a 60% chance of rain on Tuesday. And then that front does not make it all the way through. It stalls out. That's going to keep the rain chances around, and it's going to leave our temperatures relatively untouched here through the back half of the week. So, Ariel, even though we're getting into the end of April here, it's feeling more like mid to late May across parts of North Georgia. Our highs should be in the 70s and our lows should be in the 50s, but we are not going to be there.
I feel like we get 1 or 2 weeks like that. We savor them, and then they quickly leave us, Alex.
Yep.
Well, we'll be staying tuned to you for the latest updates. Thank you so much. Well, guys, it is time to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit about a bigger news story happening in our area, police chases, and how leaders and citizens here in Georgia are calling for reform after 2 recent police chases killed innocent bystanders. I break that down with our very own Tyler Finger, reporter who's been covering these stories, and we'll be doing that right after the break. Ariel Onstadt here with Fox 5 Atlanta reporter Tyler Finger. And we wanted to catch you guys up on some of the bigger news stories we've been following here around Atlanta this past week. Tyler, one of the big stories of this month really deals with police chases that unfortunately result in the death of an innocent driver.
Yep.
Can you catch us up to speed? I know we've dealt with at least 2 of these situations. You've covered them. What do you know about these 2 cases?
Well, yeah, so just this month we've had 2 different cases. One ended in Buckhead. The suspect ran a red light, slamming into a 26-year-old from New York, killing him. And then that was the result of a person police were searching for at alleged robberies at different fast food restaurants, Sandy Springs and 2 in DeKalb County. The most recent one had happened at a Chick-fil-A. Less than an hour after that incident, an Atlanta police officer spotted the suspect's vehicle, and at that point they immediately started pursuing, trying to take this person into custody, and then ended up that person ran a red light and crashed into an innocent victim. And then obviously we had the one earlier this week in Little Five Points where a 19-year-old was going through on a green light, and the person the Georgia State Patrol was pursuing ended up running a red light on Moreland Avenue, slamming into him. And that crash was very violent. We got video of it, and you could just see how far those vehicles ended up going, because you know how high speed that was, because they hit at the intersection, and then at least 50 feet away was where both of the vehicles came to a rest. And sadly, the 19-year-old Cooper Schenke was killed, and he unfortunately didn't even make it to the hospital.
So when we're looking at both of these situations, you know, the one in Buckhead, we have a person who police were trying to stop because they had allegedly robbed some area fast food restaurants, Chick-fil-A being one of them. You were telling me some of the details of the case, and one of them being that the suspect was actually pepper spraying. Was it at drive-through windows, trying to get money from these fast food employees?
Yeah, so what investigators had told us was that this person's MO, I guess you could call it, for when they were allegedly robbing several different fast food restaurants in Sandy Springs and also in DeKalb County, what they were doing was they would go up. In the Chick-fil-A incident, they ordered, I think, water and fries is what investigators told us. Then they got to the drive-through window to pay, and that's when the person pepper sprayed the employees and then grabbed the cash drawer to be able to take, you know, the money. And then that was obviously, so the person was wanted for a crime, and that's what prompted that one. And then the one earlier this week in Little Five Points, that specific incident, the person was wanted for being reckless driving, basically, high rate of speed, weaving in and out of traffic. So in Georgia State Patrol's eyes, that person needed to be stopped, and that's why they ended up pursuing the person.
And, you know, when you look at both of these, right, it's somewhat different situations in the sense that in one, you have a suspect, known suspect, right, for a crime. And the second one, you don't know if they are doing anything wrong yet, but you do know that the behavior you're witnessing as a police officer, they saw this person making unsafe decisions as a driver, like you said, weaving in and out.
And high speed is illegal.
Yes, that's a good point. So just witnessing them not taking the safety of other drivers into consideration. And, you know, officers will often tell you sometimes that one incident can be indicative of other things, right? So they felt it was in the best interest to pull that person over. They tried to initiate that traffic stop. Did not happen.
And then obviously because the person kept going in the case of the Little Five Points crash, to the, I guess, the Georgia State Patrol trooper who they were trying to stop this person, they ended up, I mean, if the person's not stopping, they're thinking maybe this person's wanted for something else that we don't know. And that could be what has gone through the trooper's mind in that specific situation.
So when we're looking at these situations, now we have 2 parts, right? 2 stories in which police have tried to pull drivers over and it has not worked out. It's started a police chase, and then innocent drivers have been killed as a result. Now we're seeing, and tell me what your reporting has uncovered in this or what you're finding, are there renewed calls now for GSP or state troopers, police in general, to end these chase type practices?
So local lawmakers and advocates are calling for the end of complete chases, for high-speed chases with Georgia State Patrol. In the interim, though, they want to see a change to policy. So currently, Fox 5 obtained the actual policy that Georgia State Patrol troopers use that guides them in these circumstances. And it's an 11-page document. It was revised back in 2019. And basically, it tells the troopers to use good discretion. Obviously, you want to take into account traffic conditions and things. One of the things I thought was interesting when I read through the document was there's only a certain number of people allowed to be involved in a chase. Only like 3 troopers in all are allowed to be involved in a chase. They don't want 30 vehicles going down the road on one person, because then you obviously put a lot of people at risk, is probably why Georgia State Patrol has the policy the way they do. There's also a requirement that if an unmarked unit is the one actually doing the chasing, once a marked unit shows up, they have to cede control of the actual chase to the marked unit so that people are actually able to see a marked Georgia State Patrol unit following someone, because obviously unmarked, they may have the lights, but may not have the actual thing that says Georgia State Patrol on the side.
And if you're a person, you may not understand the situation. You know, it could. How do you know that this is police chasing someone if it's an unmarked vehicle? And so the advocates and the local lawmakers want to see this end, because obviously just within the month of April, 2 people already killed in. Innocent people killed in crashes, and those advocates and lawmakers were talking about an AJC article which found that just in the last couple of years, GSP had been involved in thousands of police chases, resulting in a number of injuries and like more than 50 deaths, I believe. And so their concern obviously is that people are dying as a result of this. And they really want to see, if they're going to not get rid of the actual police chases, they want to see the policy changed where troopers are only pursuing people for one of the reasons. Basically, if they are a violent criminal or they know they're a violent criminal, that way they are able to kind of have justify the risk of putting other drivers at risk, because you obviously, and what was interesting in the policy that Georgia State Patrol currently has, it was telling them that they need to understand that in a situation when they're chasing someone, you don't know what other drivers are going to do on the road, because that is a unknown. You may see a police car and get over when in reality they should have gone the other way instead of going the way they did. Right, and I think that that's the issue. There's so many variables, and so many risks you take, and it's these risks that lawmakers are trying to mitigate. I know last week there was a press conference with a state representative trying to mitigate this, and when we look at everything, what are, because I look at comments, right, and I'm looking at the responses to our stories and what people are saying. And you have one side of it where people are really, like you've outlined, they want to minimize the risk. They don't want innocent drivers put in harm's way. Does the chase and what you're doing justify what could happen to people? But on the other side, there are people who feel that it is worth going after. And what if these people have some harm that they may cause down the road, and trying to stop them could put an end to it? And then you were mentioning how there's like 2 sides. I mean, on social media, we were seeing that basically some people are saying that these police chases need to stop because of the putting other drivers at risk, but other people are like, this person or these people were quote unquote criminals, they were fleeing police, they need to be stopped, and they were blaming the suspect in this case, while some people were blaming the police. And so obviously there's 2 sides here. It'd be interesting to see though what ends up happening, whether the city of Atlanta does come out and say they're not going to do these police chases, or whether there's going to be Georgia State Patrol, the governor, saying we're not going to do these, or whether it's going to have to take the state legislature, which obviously just wrapped up their most recent session, to say, hey, we need to put in rules to change how we handle situations where police have to pursue someone. I've bookmarked 2 thoughts based on the conversation we've just had, one of them being the policy changes that are being called for by state lawmakers deal with Georgia State Patrol. Was GSP and were there troopers involved in the first chase in Buckhead, or was that just Atlanta Police? I'm not sure if you know. So Georgia State Patrol is investigating that. I see. However, it was in Atlanta Police. Georgia State Patrol put out the information, and Atlanta Police was pushing everything to Georgia State Patrol because they want an independent investigation, obviously, done, because it was involving a different police department. So they want someone else to be able to have fresh eyes looking at it so they can do a fair, independent investigation. But it was an Atlanta Police pursuit, according to Georgia State Patrol, is what they told us in their initial press release. So then my second thought that I bookmarked when I was thinking through this is, you know, one of the things critics of the chase policy say, right, is we have so many cameras and you can get a license plate. Is there a way to track people and go get them later? But then it's funny because I'll see also people come back with that, right, and talk about how if the license plate could be stolen, it may not be accurate. There's no guarantee that even if you go track them down, you're going to find the person where they're at. So it's kind of interesting to see that play out in a comments section. Well,
actually, it's in the policy for Georgia State Patrol that it says if you are able to, they have to weigh the risks, the troopers, whether they think that they will be able to know the person by their license plate and who they are, and if they think that they can arrest them at a later time, they're supposed to discontinue chasing.
Okay,
because obviously if you can, and I'm assuming with the way Georgia State Patrol and the people behind that policy, they're thinking if they can tell a trooper, hey, if you can figure out the license plate and you know who is in that vehicle or something, because maybe you had stopped them already and then they took off, maybe it's worthwhile not to go after them, to not put other people at risk, because then you can go find them later on. So it'll be interesting. I mean, that's the premise, I assume, behind that, because to give the troopers the ability to discontinue the chase.
Yes.
But I mean, you had mentioned that like if they're able to find like the license plate, it could be stolen. But what you see in movies all the time, what is it, like something that on a vehicle they can like put like a tracking device on it or something? I'm sure future and technology or something will change the way police are able to probably chase people, because they won't actually have to chase somebody, because they may be able to put like a tag on it. If that exists, it's probably too expensive right now for local police departments to get. But it would be interesting to see if that ever comes to fruition.
It makes you think about what technology could exist in the future, or what technology do we already have that could make our current policies obsolete and thus make people safer. Because at the end of the day, the issue really boils down to who do you assign blame to? I mean, a lot of people say it's the suspect for doing the bad thing in the first place and causing the chase, and then other people may come back, as we're seeing play out, right, with this idea that, the suspect may be at fault, but you can mitigate harm as an officer, or you can, it depends on how you perceive that.
And you just have to always just realize that they're people who were killed, the victims. They're the victims in this case. They were innocent. The man in his 20s, and then also the 19-year-old. They were just driving, and they were hit and killed when the suspect ran a red light. One in Buckhead, one in a Little 5 Points. They're the innocent victims here. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of these two different cases so close together, because that may allow these local lawmakers and advocates to be able to maybe push for change, because they can point to two different innocent people who were killed on Atlanta roads.
Heartbreaking. I think people are already a little nervous to drive in Atlanta, and this certainly doesn't help. So,
especially during rush hour, busy times. I mean, that happened, at 7? The one in Little 5 Points happened at about 7:53.
Yeah.
That's a busy area. I don't know if you've been through Little 5 Points on a weekend. And that was something we talked with one of the store owners there, who was like, she was thankful it happened on a Monday, because if not, where the cars ended up could have hit someone on a sidewalk.
I saw exactly where that came to rest, and that was my thought. Like, what if people were walking on that sidewalk? Tyler, anything else of interest you want to share in covering these stories? Any challenges you came across? Anything that struck you personally as a reporter in doing this work that you want to share that I haven't asked you?
No, I mean, I think for me, I've been through both of those areas regularly, the one in Buckhead and the one in Little 5 Points. And so it just makes you be more cautious and cognizant of the fact that, and be aware of your surroundings. So if you hear a police siren, make sure you figure out where that is, just because you just never know. But I mean, I've gone through green lights, and I don't think twice, and people run red lights all the time, unfortunately. So you just need to be careful.
Take a pause, take a breath, look around. Tyler, thank you. We'll, of course, await the latest from you, whether any policy changes do come about or what happens next. So thank you so much. Thank you guys for streaming with us. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll have more content for you after this.